Alright, here it is right out of the box. Come on, phone. Got focused. Alright. It is out of the box. It is actually significantly larger in person. I never really figured out the proper dimensions of this base slash pump from what I could find online, so that was one of the things I had to redo at least once, I think maybe once. In the model was just getting the size of these guys right, but now I can see it in relation to the build. It's going to be super pretty. The base is super heavy. Maybe that's what's got me all excited. So the plan here, I'm going to take these brackets off. Let's see. Here, talk to the table. The table loves you. I'm here with you. There's no reason to be scared. Just moving this beautiful beast of a computer around a little bit. So here we are back with that happening. So there's going to be a radiator and then fans right here. Come on. I just want to point out, this is from Cooler Guys, I think, in Washington State. What he calls a garage item. I don't know if you can make it out, thank you Samsung, but in the corners there are actually milled, maybe not milled, but properly drilled spaces for screws. I don't know if you can see that, but there's clearly been drilled out, and when it's mounted on the fan, it's flush. I'm really surprised. So I'm definitely going to link Cooler Guys around. They're super cheap too, and the only place I could find them in this, hex design and cheap. I think the other ones I saw were expensive or just kind of ugly. I don't know. So the idea is we're going to have the rad, the fan, and one of these guys. And we get these back out. And one of these guys, I guess. Sorry, I'm just hell on the camera work, I know. So then that guy. And then these brackets, theoretically, oh, it's actually going to be mounted down here, a little lower. But these brackets will theoretically screw somewhere in there. It'll all be together in a happy family, triumphantly and brutally hanging out on the side of this Core P3 case. Oh my god, this is going to be such a monster. It's 2:15 in the morning. I'm going to call it a night. I got to get some more screws tomorrow. I'm going to take a nap, and man, I don't think there's too much else to mention at the moment. That GPU cable never showed up. I don't know. I think it's in the box. not in the box. I don't know, maybe it's under the plexi. We'll see. This packaging for the thermal take P3 is coming very handy. It's a good workspace because the dimensions of the product are fully less than catastrophe inbound, are less than the space it was shipped in, and that maintains while you're building it. So I just have the plexi directly under it, put the feet on, serving to be a great workspace for it. So I got to get screws tomorrow. Super excited about this monster. Solid. And I guess that's it. We still have to get into the graphics card. And all the blocks, water blocks, and the battery and the tubing. And then if it all comes together conceptually, physically, functionally, I can tear it all down and paint it and make it look nice. So I think the pump is going to be, again, my camera works terrible, but kind of like that, mostly covering up the first fan, first 120 millimeters. Hopefully should be floating all right up there behind the trees. Here we go. All right, in classic form, I did not go to sleep. It's now a good bit later on. I was tinkering with stuff. I actually put in one of these posts. Comment on the post. It is far more substantial than the cost of the build would lead you to, rather the cost of the case would lead you to believe. These things are heavy. Period. Vast majority of this object is metal. So this build is already getting heavy. So it's going to be an anchor, and that's cool. A-OK. Now, the reason I am filming is because you guys might have seen it a little while ago, but the top of the radiator actually is not flush. If I put a level on there, it would not line up. And one of the first issues I noticed with this thing out of the box, thanks for ignoring my focus, Samsung. This is a Note 3. I'm holding out for the Note 8 because I want to maybe try VR, and the resolution looks maybe good for that. But for now, I'm messing around with the Note 3, and then it is what it is. So this was a little bit foobar out of the box. I thought maybe that was out of the factory. After looking at the box, there are two you can see them just fine there even in the video, two clear indentions. Oops. That's where these big plastic plugs are. 1, 2, yeah. So that was the bottom of the radiator, the bottom front, so it was face down here. That would mean the front, the part that's foobar up here, would have been right here. There's definitely an indentation on both sides that actually took some paint off of that object. So Slovenia is a long way away, and it went up and down a whole bunch, and I think it got crunched in that corner. The box is actually failing. It's tearing on the back end where those plugs are pushing out. Granted, this cardboard was in this cardboard. I don't remember the orientation that this brown one was in when I pulled it out of that exterior box. The exterior box is pretty blasted. That's not for me opening it. That's how it arrived. A little threaded there. So it took some hits. It's got some wear and tear on it. So that's my best guess as to what happened. I sincerely hope it didn't mess up any of the important stuff up there. But yeah, I was looking at it, trying to figure out, well, maybe it actually is not level. Is that level? Maybe it's a little off on the bottom. But I think this guy got dinged on the way in, so we'll see what that turns into. Alright, so naturally another video because I haven't gone to sleep yet. I'm not just geeking out on the case, I'm trying to get my camera to focus. Because it really doesn't like doing that. Awful. Awful, awful. Anyway, I was thinking through some of the biggest components, and obviously maybe the power supply is pretty substantial. I gave some consideration to the hard drive situation. I think I'm going to end up using two SSDs. Well, ultimately I'm going to have NVMe drives, hopefully multiple. But I'm going to start out with just generic, not generic, but general SSDs. And the space back here is not enough for two. So I think I don't have any reason immediately to mount this anywhere on a wall or on anything similar. I don't know what the hell else you can mount it to, but I don't have any need to. So I think I'm going to remove this and give myself some space for probably 3 SSDs, maybe 4, if I was trying to do that. I think just going to start with 2, or I may pick up an M.2 shortly, but I got to remove this, and unfortunately that means there are, well, I checked the yeah, you can't see them, but basically they're screwed from the front. This guy's screwed in using screws from the front going this way, so I've got to probably going to take the motherboard off. Thankfully I'm not too far into it. Take this off and put the motherboard back on. Just wanted to mention it for any P3 interested folks out there.